Alrighty then. Alright. So let's get down to business. Okay. So there we have names, variables, code, and function. Okay. Big title, right? I'm about to introduce you to the function. Dum dum dum. Okay, every programmer will go on about functions and all the different ideas about how they work and what they do. But I will give you the simplest explanation you can use right now. Functions do three things. They name pieces of code the way variable name strings and numbers. They take arguments the way your script takes argv, and using 1 and 2, they let you make your own mini scripts or tiny commands. Great. Okay. You can create a function by using the def word def in Python. I'm going to have you make 4 different functions that will uh, work like scripts, and then I'll show you how each one is related. Okay. This is print 2. This one is like a script with argv. Okay, args, arg1 and arg2. Then it prints this. Okay, it's actually pointless. We can just do this. Then this takes just one argument, and this takes no argument. I got nothing. Okay, so let me just write this. So let's create. I think this is what is the title? Names, variables, code functions. Okay, we have names, variables, code, and functions. Okay, then I want to go here and I want to create exercise 18 dot py, and let me just write this. Okay, this one is like your scripts with argv. Yeah, this one is like scripts with argv. So I have def print 2. I take variable arguments. I go arg1, arg2 equals args. Then we print arg1, okay, arg1, and then comma arg2. Okay, then we say okay dash args is actually pointless. We can just use this. Is actually point pointless. You can just do this, and what we are going to do is def print to again, and we take arg1 and we take arg2. Then we print same. We have arg1, and then we have arg2, okay, I should use this one. And then we have this just takes one argument. This just takes one argument. So we go print 1, and it takes argument 1, and then we go arg1. Then we have this one takes no argument. This one takes no arguments. Def just print none. Go simply print what will it print? I got nothing. I got nothing. Alright. Then we call these functions. Print 2 again. So print 2. I'll go Shane. Well, print 2 again. Up by Shane and well. Go print 1 Shane, and we have print none. Okay, so let's try and execute it. Look at this. Okay. Let's break down the first function, print2, which is the most similar to what you already know from making scripts. We tell Python we want to make a function using def for define. Okay. Then on the same line as def, we give the function name. In this case, we just call it print2, but it could also be called peanuts. It doesn't matter, except that a function should have a short name that says what it does. Okay. We tell it wants asterisk args, which is a lot like argv parameter but for functions. This has to go inside parentheses to work. Okay. Then we end this line with a colon and start indenting. Okay. After the colon, all the lines that are indented 4 spaces will become attached to print2. A first indented line is one that unpacks the argument, the same as you do with your scripts. Okay, right. Then to demonstrate how it works, we print these arguments one by one. Okay, the problem with print2 is that it's not the easiest way to make a function. In Python, we can skip the whole unpacking argument and just use names we want right inside parentheses. That's what print2 again does. After that, you have an example of how you make a function that takes one argument in print1, and finally you have a function that has no arguments and print none. Okay, warning, this is very important. Do not get discouraged right now if this doesn't quite make sense. We're going to do a few exercises linking functions to your scripts and show you how to make more. For now, just keep thinking mini scripts and a save function and keep playing with them. Okay. Alright, so right away you can see how a function works. Notice that you used your functions the way you use things like exists, right? Open and other commands. In fact, I've been tricking you because in Python those commands are just functions. This means you can make your own commands and use them in your scripts too. Alright, then we have study drills. Create a function checklist for later exercises. Write these checks on an index card and keep it by you while you complete the rest of these exercises or until you feel you do not need the index card anymore. Okay. Did you start a function with def? Okay. Does your function name have only characters and underscore characters? Right. Then we have, did you put an open parenthesis right after the function name? Did you put your arguments after the parentheses separated by commas? Do you make each argument unique, meaning no duplicate names? Okay. Did you put a close parenthesis and a colon after the arguments? And did you indent all lines of codes you want in the function 4 spaces, no more, no less? Then did you end your function by going back to writing with no indent? Dedenting we call it. Okay. So when you run, use or call a function, check these things. Did you call user run this function by typing its name? Did you put the character name after the? Did you put the characters after the name to run it? Did you put the values you want in the parentheses separated by commas? Did you end the function with a this character? Okay, use these two checklists on the remaining lessons until you do not need them anymore. Finally, repeat this a few times to yourself. To run, call, or use a function, each means the same thing. Common student questions. What's allowed for a function name? The same as variable names. Anything that doesn't start with a number and is letters, numbers, and underscore will work. Right. What's the asterisk in args2? That tells Python to take all the arguments to the function and then put them in args as a list. It's like a argv that you have been using but for functions. It's not normally used too often unless specifically needed. Alright. Then this feels really boring and monotonous. That's good. It means you're starting to get better at typing in the code and understanding what it does. To make it less boring, take everything I tell you to type in and break it on purpose. Okay. Then we have next exercise, functions and variables. Functions may have been the mind-blowing amount of information, but do not worry. Just keep doing these exercises and going through your checklist from the last exercise and you will eventually get it. Okay. There is one tiny point that you might not have realized, which will reinforce right now. The variables in your functions are not connected to the variables in your script. Okay, here's an example. Okay. So we have cheese, crackers, you have these cheeses, you have boxes of crackers, man that's enough for a party, get it back. Okay, so let me write exercise 19. This is functions and variables. We'll come back, we'll create a new alright, so we go def cheese and crackers. Okay. Then we take in cheese count and boxes of crackers. Okay. Cheese count and boxes of crackers. Then we go print, you have these cheeses. Cheese count, cheeses, print, then you have dash boxes of crackers, boxes of crackers, man that's enough for a party. Man that's enough for a party. And then we go print, get a blanket. Get a blanket with a new line. Okay. Then we have, okay. Can we just give the function? We can just give the function numbers directly. Okay. We can give the function numbers directly. Right. And then we call the function cheese and crackers 1020. Then we have or we can use variables from our scripts. Okay. Or we can use variables from our script. So I'll go amount of cheese, Then we have amount of crackers, and then I pass it on the function. Pass it to the function. And finally, we can even do math inside too. And we have and, we can combine the two, variable and math. Okay. Two, that is variable and math. So we go amount of cheese divided by 2, amount of crackers times 3. Okay. This shows all the different ways okay. We have this shows all this shows all the different ways we're able to give our function cheese and crackers the values it needs to print them. We can give it straight numbers, we can give it variables, we can give it math, we can even combine math and variables. In a way, the arguments to your function are kind of like our equals to character when we make the variables. In fact, if you use equals to name something, you can usually pass it to the function as an argument. Okay. And what you should see. Okay. So tutorials, go back to the script and type the comment above each line explaining in English what it does. Start at the bottom and read each line backward, saying all the important characters. While at least one more function, okay, write at least one more function of a design and run it 10 different ways. Okay, then we have common student questions. How can there possibly be 10 different ways to run a function? Believe it or not, there's a theoretically infinite number of ways you can call any function. See how creative you can get with functions, variables, and input from a user. Okay, is there a way to analyze what this function is doing so I can understand it better? There are many different ways, but try putting an English comment above each line describing what the line does. Another trick is to read the code out loud. Yet another is to print the code out and draw on the paper with pictures and comments showing what's going on. But if I want to ask the user for number of cheese, you need to use int to convert what you get from input. Does making the variable amount of cheese change the variable cheese count in the function? No. Those variables are separate and live outside the function. They are passed to the function, and temporary versions are made just for the function's run. When the function exits, these temporary variables go away and everything keeps working. Keep going in the book and you should become clearer. Okay. And we have, is it bad to have global variables like amount of cheese with the same name as the function variables? Yes, since then you're not quite sure which one you're talking about. But sometimes necessity means you have to use the same name, or you might do it on accident. Just avoid it whenever you can. Okay. Then is there a limit to the number of arguments a function can have? It depends on the version of Python and the computer you're on, but it is fairly large. The practical limit though is about 5 arguments before the function becomes annoying to use. Okay. Then can you call a function within a function? Yes, you'll make a game that does this later in the book. Alright. Then we have functions and files. Okay. Alright. Remember your checklist for functions, then do this exercise paying close attention to how functions and real files can work together to make useful stuff. Okay. So we get argv, we get the input file, we print all f.read, rewind, we seek 0. Okay. Then we print a line count at the file. Okay. Current file. Okay, first let's print. Okay, so first let's print the whole file. Print. Now let's rewind, kind of like a tape. Let's print 3 lines. Current line is 1, then line 2, then line 3. Okay, so from sys import argv, then we create a function. Okay, then we take in the script and the input file from argv and pack the arguments. Then we def print all, we take in the file pointer, and then print f dot read, and we rewind as after reading the file, its file pointer is at the end of file, and we want to bring it back to the beginning of the file. We go def rewind, then we go print a line. We have line number and okay, line count and section. So we print line count comma f dot read line. Okay, then we open the current file, open the file. What is file indicated by the user? So we have so we go current file equals open input file, then first let's print the whole file. So we go print all current file, then now let's rewind, kind of like a tape. Right, then let's print 3 lines. Then we go print 3 lines. So we go current line equals 1. Right, current line equals 1, then we print a line. So we go current line comma current file, then we increment current line by 1, then we call this function again. Sorry, yep. Okay. Then we increment it again, right? And that is it. Okay, pay close attention to how we pass in the current line number each time we run a print line. Okay, but you should see. Okay, so I'll write this is line 1, this is line 2, and this is line 3. I want to put it inside function called test.txt. Okay, then I want to call Python size 20 test.txt. Okay, so I have this is line. Huh. Print the whole. Okay. So it didn't quite really. Okay. Okay. Not the way. Line. This is line 2. This is line 3. Okay. Let's rerun the script. Okay. Yeah. What is this? Let's print the whole file. Okay, I think I should create a new file. Okay. Right. Okay. At last. Then I have okay study drill. Write an English comment for each line to understand what the line does. Each time print a line is run, you are passing in variable current line. Write out what current line is equal to on each function call and trace how it becomes line count in a print line. Find each place a function is used and check its def okay to make sure that you're giving it the right arguments. Research online what seek function does for a file. Maybe I can Python seek. Will it give me seek? No. PyDoc file. Nope. Open. Okay. So we go. This is built-in module. Help. Okay. So IO. Huh. Okay. So we have seek. Where can I close flush? Is city peak read writable write detach center iteratable next file number read line seek. Okay. Seek. There we go. Seek offset wins. Okay. Change the stream position to the given byte offset. Offset the stream position relative to whence. Okay. Whence the relative position to seek from. The offset is interpreted relative to the position indicated by whence. Okay, so values for whence are os seek set which or 0 Start from the start of stream. The default offset should be 0 or positive. Then seed current stream position offset may be negative. Okay. And we have OS seek end of stream offset is usually negative. Okay. Return a new absolute position. All right. Great stuff. Okay. Got it. Okay. File.seek does. Okay. Research the shorthand notation plus equals to and rewrite the script using the plus equals to. Okay, we are not doing that. Okay, what is f in print all and other functions? F is a variable just like you had in other functions in exercise 18, except this time it's a file. A file in Python is kind of like an old tape drive or on a mainframe or maybe a DVD player. It has a read head and you can seek this read head around the file to positions, then work with it there. And each time you do f seek 0, you're moving to the start of the file. Each time you do f dot read line, you're reading a line from the file and moving the read head to the right after new line that ends the line. Okay, this will be explained more as you go on. Okay, then we have why does seek 0 not set current line to 0? First, the seek function is dealing in bytes, not lines. The code seek0 moves the file to 0 byte, first byte in the file. Second current line is just a variable that has no real connection to the file at all. We are manually incrementing it. Okay, what does plus equals means? You know how in English I can write it is as it's, or I can rewrite you are as you are. In English this is called contraction, and this is kind of like a contraction for the two operations plus and equals to. This means x equals x plus y is the same as x plus equals y. Okay, how does readline know where each line is? Inside readline is code that scans each byte for the file until a new line character, then stops reading the file and return what is found so far. The file f is responsible for maintaining the current position in the file after each readline. Okay, the file f is responsible for maintaining the current position in the file after each readline call so that it will keep reading each line. Why are there empty lines between the lines in the file? The readline function returns the new line that's in the file at the end of the line. Add a end equals this and the end of your function call to avoid double new lines to every. Then I have functions you can return something. Okay. You have been using the equals to character to name variables and set them numbers or strings. We're now going to blow your mind again by showing you how to use equals to and a new Python word return to set variables to be value for a function. Okay. Value from a function. There will be one thing to pay close attention to, but first type this in. Okay, so this is functions can return something. Def, then I have a function called add ab, adding a and b. Add a comma b. We go print adding a plus b, return a plus b. Okay. Then I have subtract. Okay, subtract, multiply and divide. Okay. subtract. Then we have a function multiply. And then we have divide. Printf divide a divided by b. Okay, then we return a divided by b. Okay, let's do some math with just functions. Print. Let's do some math with just functions. Okay, so we have age equals add. Okay, age equals add 15 plus 7. There you go, 15 comma 7. Then height will subtract 180 and 5. Then we have weight equals, okay, weight equals multiply, go 35 times 35 and 2, and then IQ, okay. Divide 100 by 2. Okay, so we print age, height, weight and IQ. Print age, height, weight and IQ. Okay, what? Then we go what age, that becomes what? Can you do it by hand? Okay, we age, add age, subtract height, multiply weight and divide it by IQ. Okay, then we go what equals add age, and we pass in second parameter height, then add age, subtract height, then we multiply weight and then divide IQ by 2. Okay, so first we divide IQ by 2, so IQ is currently 50, so this is 25, then we multiply it by weight, so weight is currently 70 into 25, whatever, then we subtract height from this, then we add age with this. Okay, then print, that becomes what? Can you do it by hand? Can you do it by hand? Okay, we are now doing our own math functions for add, subtract, multiply and divide. The important thing to notice is the last line where we say return a plus b in add. What this does is the following. Our function is called with two arguments a and b, right? Okay, we print out what our function is doing, in this case adding, we tell Python to do something kind of backward. We return the addition of a plus b. You might say I add a and b and then return them. Okay. Python adds the two numbers. Then, when the function ends, any line that runs, it will be able to assign a plus b result to a variable. Okay. As with many other things in this book, you should take this real slow, break it down, and try to trace what's going on. To help, there is extra credit to solve a puzzle and learn something cool. Okay. So Python. So it goes divide 50 by 2, then multiply this by this, then subtract this by this, and adding this by this, that becomes this. Okay. Study drills. If you aren't really sure what return does, try writing a few of your own functions and have them return some values. You can return anything that you can put to the right of an equals to. Okay. So at the end of a script is a puzzle. I'm taking the return value of one function and using it as an argument of another function. I'm doing this in a chain so that I'm kind of creating a formula using the functions. It looks really weird, but if you run the script, you can see the results. What you should do is try to figure out the normal formula that would recreate the same set of operations. Okay, normal formula that was. Okay, once you have the formula worked out for the puzzle, get in there and see what happens when you modify the parts of the function. Try to change it on purpose to make another value. Okay, do the inverse, write a simple formula and use the function in the same way to calculate it. Okay. This exercise might really whack your brain out, but take it slow and easy and treat it like a little game. Figuring out puzzle like this is what makes programming fun. So I'll be giving you a little more problems as we go. Come student, why does Python print the formula or the function backwards? It's not really backwards, it's inside out. When you start breaking down function into separate formulas and function calls, you'll see how it works. Try to understand what I mean by inside out rather than backwards. Okay. How can I use input to enter my own values? Remember int input. The problem with this is that you can't enter floating point. So also try using float input instead. Okay. What do you mean by write out formula? Try 24 plus 34 divided by 13 minus. As a start, convert that to use functions. Now come up with your own similar math equation and use variables so it's more like a formula. Okay. So I have, what do you know so far? There won't be any code in this exercise, so there's no what you should see. Okay. String bytes, more practice, even more. Rising logic, boolean, what if? Okay. Then what do you know so far? There won't be any code in this exercise, so there's no what you should see or study drill sections. In fact, this exercise is like a giant study drill. I'm going to have you do a review of what you have learned so far. First, go back through every exercise you have done so far and write down every word and symbol, another name or character that you have used. Make sure your list of symbol is complete. Okay, next to each word or symbol, what is the time? Okay. Next to each word of symbol, write its name and what it does. If you can't find a name for a symbol in this book, then look for it online. If you do not know what a word or symbol does, then read about it again and try using it in some code. Okay. You may run into a few things you can't find out or know. So just keep these on the list and be ready to look them up when you find them. Once you have your list, spend a few days rewriting the list and double checking that it's correct. This may get boring, but push through and really nail it down. Once you have memorized the list, what they do, then step it up by writing out tables of symbols, the names, and what they do from memory. If you hit some you can't recall from memory, go back and memorize them again. What you are learning. It's important when you are doing a boring mindless memorization exercise like this to know why it helps you focus on a goal and knows the purpose of all your effort. In this exercise you are learning to Okay, so we have what if. Okay, sorry. We have what if, then we have loops and list, while loops accessing list, branches and functions, designing debugging. Yes, okay. Debugging should be interesting. Okay, it's important when you're doing a boring mindless memorization exercise like this to know why it helps. So, okay, in this exercise you're learning the names of symbols so that you can read source code more easily. It's similar to learning the alphabet and basic words of English, except this Python alphabet has extra symbols you might not know. Alright, just take it slow and do not hurt your brain. It's best to take 15 minutes at a time. It's best to take 15 minutes at a time with a list and then just take a break. Giving your brain a rest will help you learn faster with less frustration. Okay. Then we have exercise 23. So I still have time. This is called string bytes and character encoding. Ah. Okay, to do this exercise, you'll need to download a text file that I've written named this. Okay, link in a new tab. Right. Okay. This is languages.txt. Okay, so I'll just paste it here. I haven't saved it yet. That doesn't matter. Okay. This file was created with a list of human languages to demonstrate a few interesting concepts. How modern computers store human languages for display and processing, and how Python 3 calls this strings. How you must encode and decode Python's strings into a type called bytes. How to handle errors in your string and byte handling, and how to read code and find out what it means even if you've never seen it before. Okay. So in addition to that, you'll also get a brief glimpse of the Python 3 if statement and list for processing a list of things. You don't have to master this code or understand these concepts right away. You'll get plenty of practice in later exercises. For now, your job is to get a taste of the future and learn the 4 topics in the preceding list. Okay, warning, this exercise is hard. There's a lot of information in it that you need to understand, and it's information that goes deep into computers. This exercise is complex because Python strings are complex and difficult to use. I recommend you take this exercise painfully slow, write down every word you don't understand and look it up or research it. Take a paragraph at a time if you must. You can continue with other exercises while you study this one, so don't get stuck here. Just chip away at it for as long as it takes. Okay. Initial research. I'm going to teach you. So I am going to teach you how to research a piece of code to expose its secrets. You'll need the languages.txt file for this code to work. So make sure your download is first. Okay, the languages contains a list of human languages that are encoded in UTF-8. I'm going to teach you how to research a piece of code to expose its secret. Okay, so we go import sys. Then we take in input encoding and error. Script input encoding error from sys.argv. Then we define main language file encoding and errors. So language file encoding and errors. Then we line equals language file dot read line. Then if line, we print line and print line encoding. Okay. Okay, if line, we print the line and return, and then return to language file encoding and errors. Okay. Then if line, we print line. Okay. We print line and then encoding, pass in the encoding and then errors, and then we return with a call to main function language file and we print raw bytes with cooked string. Okay. Code encoding errors equals errors. Okay, language file, then we have encoding and errors. Okay. Def print line, we have line encoding and errors. Okay, so we next language equals line dot strip off any excess from the outside, right? Then we get the raw bytes. Alright, so return main, we return a call to main, return a call to main function. Okay, languages, language file coding. Okay, main function, then main function. What does main function do? Okay, then it calls print file. Okay, so it is recursing until the end of file, right? Okay, so we take raw bytes equals next lang dot encode. We pass in the encoding with errors. Okay. And then we say cooked string equals raw bytes dot decode. We pass in the encoding yet again and errors, and then we simply print the raw bytes with this cooked string. And raw bytes and then cooked string. Then we open this file, languages equals open, and languages.txt, and then I have I tell it the encoding is UTF, coding is UTF-8, right, and then we pass in languages, then input encoding and error. So we don't take in the input encoding and error. Okay. So we call it the main function with languages file, input encoding and errors, right? So let me call this okay, what do I need to pass here? You simply write down a list of each thing you've never seen before. There may be quite a few things. There may be quite a few things that are new. So scan the line. Okay. So once you have that, you'll want to run this Python script to play. Python script. Okay. To play with it. Here are some examples. So we get it says UTF-8 and strict. Okay. So I pass in the encoding and the error. Okay. Errors is not defined. Did you mean error? Error is okay, and this is line number 20. Okay. Error is okay, great. So we have basics, bytes. H. Alright. So what does this do? Okay. Warning, you'll notice I'm using images here to show what you should see. After extensive testing, it turns out that so many people have their computers configured to do not display UTF-8 that I had to use images, so you'll know what to expect. Even my own typeset system, LaTeX, couldn't handle these encodings, forcing me to use images instead. If you don't see them in your terminal, it's most likely not able to display UTF-8, and you should try to fix that. Okay. These examples use UTF-8, UTF-16 and PIC5 encoding to demonstrate the conversion and the types of error you can get. Okay. Each of these names are called codec in Python 3, but you use the parameter encoding. At the end of this exercise, there's a list of available encodings. If you want to try more, I'll cover what all of this output means shortly. Right, you're only trying to get an idea of how this works, so we can talk about it. Okay, so I guess it is time we call it a day.